She didn't want recognition, just wanted to complete her overnight shift peacefully, tending to patients, monitoring vital signs, perhaps managing a minor crisis occasionally. 3 years of tranquil nights at St. Catherine Medical Center until that Wednesday when masked gunmen invaded the facility while other personnel followed emergency protocols. Sarah did something that would render the tactical team leader stunned, something that would astound her co-workers, something no nurse should ever be capable of doing when they questioned where she acquired such skills. Sarah's response was softer than the 2 a.m. hospital hallways: specialized training. But what kind of preparation transforms medical equipment into instruments of defense? Welcome to Untold Chronicles. Before we explore this remarkable tale, let me know in the comments which state you're watching from today, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Sarah Chen was the ideal night shift nurse. At 34, she had served at St. Catherine Medical Center for 3 years. She arrived at 10 p.m., departed at 6 a.m., never missed a patient handoff, never arrived late, never voiced complaints. Everyone on the overnight shift respected Sarah. She was composed, dependable, someone who could always locate something that seemed lost. Patients felt reassured by her careful attention and soft-spoken manner. Sarah's partners were Michael Thompson and Lisa Martinez. Michael was 31, a seasoned nurse who had worked at the facility for 6 years. Lisa was 28, a paramedic with 4 years of experience. But Sarah was unique. Her medical expertise extended far beyond standard nursing protocols. During crises, while others recorded basic measurements, she conducted comprehensive assessments. "Why do you examine so thoroughly?" they would inquire. "Training," Sarah would respond quietly. But this training originated from vastly different circumstances. Sarah's equipment inspections differed from her colleagues. She examined every instrument with military precision. Emergency syringes, airway management tools, monitoring devices as if she were setting up a field hospital. Her co-workers occasionally found Sarah's approach unusual. "We're nurses, Sarah, not combat medics," they would comment. Sarah would nod and remain silent because truthfully, both descriptions were accurate. The extent of Sarah's medical knowledge impressed even attending physicians. "Where did you complete your advanced training?" they would ask. "Various locations," Sarah would reply. Always evasive, never providing specifics. And those locations were vastly different from conventional medical institutions. That Wednesday night had begun routinely. Sarah, Michael, and Lisa were handling typical cases. Vehicle collision, senior citizen fall, cardiac episode, standard overnight shift duties, but the alert that came at 10:52 p.m. was far from ordinary. Sarah Chen had enlisted at 20. But why? It wasn't family heritage. It wasn't financial hardship. It was something deeper. And this motivation had placed Sarah on an extraordinary trajectory. She had begun in battlefield medicine, but after foundational training, she had been chosen for intensive instruction. Elite Combat Medical Certification, the most selective program. But this was merely the foundation. The true specialized preparation was yet to come. Special operations medical training, advanced surgery in hostile environments, life-preserving procedures under fire. Sarah had been selected for the top 2%, and that expertise would prove invaluable in the trauma bay that night. Her first assignment was Syria. Elite surgical unit operating on injured operatives before transport to proper medical facilities. Complex medical procedures under combat conditions. This experience had transformed Sarah. Her second deployment was Somalia, this time assigned to special forces, medical support during the most perilous operations, gunshot wounds, blast injuries, severe trauma cases, and the methods she mastered during those missions were techniques rarely employed in civilian medicine. Sarah had learned to operate in silence, minimal equipment, scarce resources, maximum effectiveness. Her hands had become precision tools, and those hands would draw considerable attention at St. Catherine that night. Her third assignment was along the Afghan border. Covert operations medical support, battlefield surgery under enemy fire. Sarah was now proficient at field surgeon level. But why had she left the military to become a nurse? That story was more complicated. PTSD, reintegration difficulties, civilian life adjustments. Sarah's transition hadn't been smooth. High-pressure medical work felt familiar, but civilian protocols were different. And that tension was about to surface that night. After receiving an honorable discharge in 2021, Sarah had moved into civilian healthcare. She had utilized trauma counseling, adjustment therapy, and veteran transition programs. Hospital nursing had been an ideal match. It reminded her why she had become a medic, helping vulnerable people. The hospital setting was steady, routine, peaceful after years of turmoil. Stability was welcomed. When St. Catherine Medical Center hired her, Sarah was overqualified. Nursing credentials, military medical background, specialized certifications. But the interview panel didn't probe deeply. They were simply grateful to find a skilled candidate. Daily responsibilities were straightforward compared to combat medicine. But she observed details others overlooked: a teenager with irregular respiratory patterns, potential asthma onset, a patient reporting migraines, possible neurological concerns. Sarah's evaluations were comprehensive, her recommendations accurate, her documentation thorough, but she never elaborated about her history. "I've always enjoyed caring for people," she would say. Brief response, no elaboration. At 10:52 p.m., the alert that would expose Sarah's 12-year secret reached St. Catherine Medical Center. The voice over the intercom was stern and urgent. Code Silver. Security breach at facility. Armed intruders in primary building. All staff retreat to designated safe zones. Sarah's entire being instantly shifted to high alert. This was the response not just of a night shift nurse, but of someone who had preserved lives in war zones. The hospital immediately enacted lockdown procedures. Alarms were sounding. Emergency protocols were activating. "This seems serious," Michael said anxiously. "We're prepared," Lisa responded. Sarah remained silent because she understood exactly how serious it could truly become. Footsteps and voices began echoing through the hospital corridors. 3 armed individuals had breached the main entrance, searching for narcotics in the emergency department. While Michael and Lisa sheltered in a secure room with other personnel, Sarah chose differently. That reserved night shift nurse vanished. In her place was someone whose every action was calculated and decisive. Michael. Lisa. There was no uncertainty in her voice. "Keep everyone in the patient areas protected. Don't allow anyone to leave." Suddenly, the quiet nurse was gone. In her place was a soldier. When the first intruder entered the emergency department, Sarah was positioned and waiting. While the individual attempted to force open medication storage with his weapon, Sarah approached from behind. She held a syringe containing sedative, high-dose midazolam. Before the person realized what was occurring, he felt a needle enter his neck. He collapsed within 8 seconds. "First target neutralized," Sarah whispered in military language. When the second intruder spotted Sarah in the hallway, he aimed his weapon at her. "Don't move." But Sarah wasn't stopping. She was advancing. She gripped a surgical blade. When the individual attempted to fire, Sarah reacted. The blade severed the tendons in the person's weapon hand. The gun dropped while the individual cried out in agony. Sarah brought him down, restrained him with medical restraints. "Second target secured," Sarah stated calmly. The third intruder was rushing toward the room where Michael and Lisa were hiding. Sarah had to intercept him. When she confronted him in the corridor, the individual tried to strike Sarah, but Sarah had combat experience. She injected a syringe full of ketamine into the person's thigh. His coordination failed. The individual collapsed. Third target controlled. Within 12 minutes, 3 armed intruders had been subdued using only medical supplies. When law enforcement arrived, they didn't encounter the disorder they anticipated. "What's the status?" asked the tactical commander. "Contained," Sarah said simply. "Where are the suspects?" "Properly restrained." The commander appeared puzzled. "By whom?" Sarah paused. "By me." "By you? Aren't you a nurse?" "I had specialized training." At that moment, Michael and Lisa emerged, staring at Sarah in wonder. "Sarah," Michael said in disbelief. What did you do?" Sarah looked at them. There was the burden of a 12-year secret in her expression. "I performed my duties," she said simply. But Michael and Lisa understood this wasn't standard nursing practice. This was military-grade operation. "Sarah," Lisa said, "who are you really?" After a lengthy pause, Sarah responded, I'm Sergeant First Class Sarah Chen, Army Special Operations Medical Unit, retired. Those words lingered in the air. Michael and Lisa couldn't process it. What did you say? But Sarah wasn't elaborating. She had retrieved medical gloves from her kit and was sanitizing surfaces. Michael. Lisa, Sarah said in a steady voice. What you witnessed here tonight was simply a nurse fulfilling her responsibilities. No, Sarah, Michael said, shaking his head. This was far beyond that. Hospital surveillance had captured everything. The way Sarah moved, the methods she employed, the military language. It was no longer feasible for her to remain concealed. Michael and Lisa were still processing. Sarah, why didn't you ever mention this? Because it wasn't relevant, Sarah replied. I'm a nurse now. No, Michael said, shaking his head. You're extraordinary. Hospital Director Patricia Williams summoned Sarah to her office the following day. Sarah, Williams said, you accomplished remarkable work last night. You safeguarded this facility. I simply fulfilled my responsibilities. No, Sarah, this wasn't routine nursing care. This was military-level operation. Sarah gazed out the window at the hospital courtyard. Ms. Williams, I've served here for 3 years. Never created issues. Simply performed my job. And you performed your job exceptionally. But why didn't you inform us about your military service? Because it wasn't relevant. I retired. Returned to civilian service. My history remained in the past. But Sarah, your capabilities. Capabilities are only utilized when required, Sarah said. Last night it was required. Williams nodded. Sarah, I want to reassign you to the trauma unit. We need your expertise, your abilities. Sarah hesitated. Is this necessary? Sarah, last night you didn't just defend the hospital. You demonstrated to all of us what genuine leadership means. Sarah smiled. Ms. Williams, I'm a nurse. That's my decision. And I want to continue as a nurse. But why? Because here I deliver patient care. I connect with people. I help them heal. In combat, I saved people. Here I restore people. This is more meaningful. Months passed. Sarah's story became hospital legend. But she remained the same dedicated night shift nurse. She guided new nurses. Nursing isn't just administering treatment, she would tell them. It's watching, assessing, safeguarding. But Sarah, we don't have experience like yours. You don't need it. If you have the passion to help people in your heart, skills can be developed. But you were special operations. Sarah smiled. I'm now a St. Catherine Medical Center nurse. That's more significant. One evening, young nurse Alex asked, Sarah, do you ever question leaving your distinguished military career? Sarah observed the hospital corridors, peaceful, secure under her watch. Alex, she said, I defended my nation for 12 years. Now I protect the patients here. Both are service. But there was more excitement in combat. Excitement isn't always beneficial. Sometimes the greatest achievement is when no one gets injured. That evening, as Sarah completed her rounds, she looked at that section of the emergency department. Now there were enhanced security systems, stricter procedures. Those individuals can't return, she thought. And the hospital is more secure. Because Sarah's greatest accomplishment wasn't stopping 3 intruders that night. It was making the hospital safer and transferring her knowledge to the next generation. Special operations had taught her to fight. Nursing was teaching her to heal. Sometimes the finest warriors become the finest healers, she whispered. So I ask you, have you ever encountered remarkable individuals in ordinary positions, heroes who channel their past into their current service? Share in the comments because here at Untold Chronicles, we believe the greatest guardians are often the most humble ones. If this story inspired you, share it, subscribe, and help these vital stories reach others. See you in the next chronicle. And remember, your hospital nurse might be someone protecting you with abilities you never imagined. Service never ends. It just changes assignments.